I came back to that town with nothing but a duffel bag and a reputation I never asked for. And the funny thing is, everyone already thought they knew how my story ended before I even opened my mouth. To them, I was the kid who never made it, the one who slipped through the cracks, the one teachers sighed about, and bullies laughed at, the one who was supposed to disappear quietly and never come back. So, when I walked into that place again after all those years, heads turned, eyebrows lifted, and I could practically hear the unspoken question hanging in the air. What are you doing back here, and how long before you fail again? Yeah, I felt it. I felt it in my chest at the same way I used to when I was 17 and standing alone in a hallway full of people who had already decided I was nothing. Back then, I was easy to pick on. Poor clothes, no connections, no smooth answers when adults asked what my plans were. There was this guy, let's call him Ryan Goldenboy. Family money, football hero, teachers loved him. Girls followed him, and he made it his personal hobby to remind me exactly where I stood. He'd bump into me in the halls, laugh when my books fell, call me deadweight like it was a joke everyone was in on. And when I tried to ignore it, when I tried to keep my head down, he'd smile wider because people like him feed on silence. You know what I mean? Silence feels like permission. The worst part wasn't even him. It was the way everyone else went along with it. The looks, the quiet chuckles, the way adults would say boys will be boys, or you just need thicker skin. I learned early that being underestimated hurts more than being hated. Hate means you matter. Being dismissed means you don't exist. I left that town the first chance I got, not with some big dream, not with a plan that impressed anyone, just with a promise to myself that I would never let anyone decide my worth for me again. And I failed. A lot. I worked jobs people sneered at, slept in places I wouldn't admit to. Now got told no more times than I can count. There were nights I sat alone thinking maybe they were right, maybe I was exactly what they said I was. But here's the thing, nobody tells you. When you've already been written off, you're free to try. You've got nothing left to lose. Years passed. I learned skills. I listened more than I talked. I watched how power worked, how confidence could be faked, how respect could be built slowly, brick by brick. I didn't wake up one day magically successful. It was quieter than that. One opportunity leading to another. One person taking a chance on me. One small win stacking on top of another. And somewhere along the way, without realizing it, I became someone who didn't flinch when walked into a room. So when circumstances dragged me back to that town, a business deal of all things, I told myself I wouldn't care what anyone thought. But let's be honest. When you walk back into a place that once broke you, the past doesn't stay buried. It waits. The meeting was supposed to be simple. Local investors, small venue, polite smiles. I walked in, and there he was, Ryan. Older, sure a little heavier around the edges, but still wearing that same confidence like armor. When his eyes landed on me, I saw it flash across his face. Recognition, surprise, then amusement. He walked over, clapped me on the shoulder like we were old friends. "Well, look who it is," he said loud enough for people nearby to hear. "Didn't think I'd see you back here." I smiled. Not the tight, nervous smile I used to wear, but a calm one. Life's funny like that. He laughed. "So, what are you doing now? Still trying to figure things out?" There it was. Same old line, same assumption. And for a split second, the old heat rose in my chest. But I didn't bite. I'd learned something over the years. The most unsettling thing you can do to someone who expects you to shrink is stand comfortably in your space. "I'm doing well," I said. Better than I expected, honestly. He raised an eyebrow. Yeah. The conversation drifted, but I could feel him watching me, trying to place me, trying to figure out where I fit now. Later, when the actual meeting started, I took a seat near the front. Ryan sat across from me, still smirking. When the organizer stood up and began introducing partners and stakeholders, I noticed Ryan leaning back, arms crossed, relaxed, confident. Then my name was called. Not just my name, but my role. Lead investor, project director. Suddenly, the room shifted. I felt it before I saw it. Heads turning, whispers starting. Ryan straightened in his chair, confusion flickering across his face. I stood, nodded politely, and said a few words. Nothing dramatic, no revenge speech, just clear, steady confidence. And that's when it hit him. You could see it. The realization crashing in that the version of me he'd frozen in his mind no longer existed. That the guy he used to shove into lockers was now sitting at the table making decisions. Afterward, he cornered me near the coffee table, his voice lower this time. "Didn't know you had it in you," he said. I looked at him and felt something unexpected. Not anger, not triumph, just clarity. "You never looked," I said. "You were too busy talking." He scoffed, but it wasn't convincing. "Guess people change." "Some do," I replied. "Some just get exposed." That should have been the end of it, but life doesn't always wrap things up neatly. Over the next few days, I heard the whispers. People saying I got lucky, that someone must have helped me, that I couldn't really be the one calling the shots. Same old story, just dressed up differently. And for a moment I wondered if it would ever stop. Then came the final meeting. A big one. Media present. Community leaders. And Ryan, for reasons I still don't fully understand, decided to challenge me publicly. Questioned my experience. Implied I didn't belong there. The room went quiet. All eyes on me. This was it. The moment I used to dream about. The chance to unload years of frustration. And I almost did. But instead, I took a breath and spoke calmly. I talked about the work, the results, the team. I answered every question without defensiveness, without ego. I let the facts speak. And when I finished, there was a pause, then applause. Not wild, not dramatic, but real. Ryan didn't look at me after that. Walking out of that building, I realized something important. Winning doesn't always look like someone else losing. Sometimes it looks like standing exactly where you are unapologetically and knowing you earned it. The people who once dismissed you don't get to define your ending. And the most satisfying victories aren't loud. They're undeniable. I don't tell this story because I think I'm special. I tell it because I know how many people are walking around carrying someone else's judgment like a weight on their back. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were overlooked. Maybe you were told you'd never be enough. And maybe, just maybe, you're still hearing those voices in your head. So here's my question for you, and I really want you to think about it. When someone underestimates you, do you owe them proof, or do you owe yourself growth? Is justice about payback, or about building a life so solid that the past can't touch it anymore? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you've seen, what you've lived, what you believe. And if this story hit close to home, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone out there might need to hear that coming back doesn't mean losing. Sometimes it means finally winning.